Back in 1996, Goosebumps and DreamWorks Interactive released a Goosebumps video game known as Escape from Horrorland. And it was an instant hit. People loved it. And with that, Scholastic was like, we want more Horrorland. Stine. They looked him dead in the eye, held him at gunpoint, and said, make Return to Horrorland. And so he did. Or maybe a ghostwriter, but I'm pretty sure he wrote this one. This is very Stine. Return to Horrorland. And today we're going to be reviewing the iconic, I guess, sequel? Not a lot of people really talk about it. And, everybody knows, yeah, Return to Horrorland exists, but there's not much talk for it. Probably because it's a Midway Series 2000 book, and a lot of those aren't talked about aside from Jekyll and Hyde. And I mean directly Midway, like 13 to 17 era. Because Brain Juice is obviously popular, Graveyard Ghouls, Headless Halloween, yeah. But this, it's kind of, invisible in a way, but, it still has recognition for obviously being Horrorland. Return to frickin' Horrorland. And it is a sequel. This isn't just like, a book in the universe that also is Horrorland. No, this is a literal sequel with the original characters. So let's talk about it. And now for the blurb. And there are no blurbs, just random portions of dialogue and script from the book. So, what is this book about from memory? You guys like this one more? This book is about a couple named the Stranges. I guess we can call them that. I believe that's her name. I might be high on something, but I'm pretty sure. And if you want, like, something to imagine, just imagine those two assholes from Shrunken Heads episode, or the book. Either way. Yeah, that's what they're like. They want to bring Luke, Lizzie, and Clay back to Horrorland and fill them to expose Horrorland's dark secrets. AKA, Horrorland's fucking, evil. And so they do! I'm not even kidding, they go on their own will, those free kids. Of course there's a paycheck, but it's still like, okay. And, couldn't have fucking guessed it. Things go south. And maybe they weren't prepared for what they'd find this time around. Oh no! Yeah, this feels like basically Horrorland 2, but like, it's the same story. It's basically just the same book. And it's not bad. I think it's definitely not as good as the first one, but I still liked it. Might be a hot take, might not. Not a lot of people have read this one, but either way, I like this one, but it's nowhere near the quality of the first book, though it has things I prefer over it. So let's get into those with my upsides. Though I have my issues with the characters. Now, I'm mostly talking about a certain two other characters that are in the story, and since we're in upsides, which is spoiler territory now, the Stranges. They are revealed to be actually the true villains of the story, luring these kids here once again. Now, it shouldn't have worked, but it actually worked, honestly. It's not perfect. By any means, no, it shouldn't have worked. Like, I literally mean it shouldn't have worked. They shouldn't have actually gotten those kids back, because it makes no sense. We'll talk about that. But I just like the general idea of luring them back with fakes. These guys aren't, really good news. They were actually doing this for their own paycheck, funny enough. So yeah, they got their own paycheck, not these kids. But, I think that's a really cool reveal. Is kind of, little sense it made, how these kids actually got lured back, because, they're not stupid. Kids aren't stupid, I'm not stupid, at least I don't feel like I'm stupid. Though I am a little older than them. It's still like, really? Really? That worked? But nonetheless, not an upside, downside yet. I liked it. I liked the idea behind the reveal, and the reveal itself kind of worked for me. Even if it was a little obvious, though I didn't see it upon my first time reading at all. It hit me like a truck. Probably because I was in like 6th grade. But yeah, now for other upsides, the main characters are solid. There's some nice horror action, and I don't just mean with the horrors themselves, I mean the rides. The rides are way better than the first book. Some of them I don't like much more. I think the Amazo ride, more like an attraction, wasn't very good, and there's something involving a dungeon, and I believe mice. That wasn't amazing, but there were other things, like one of the final rides, which isn't even a ride at that point. It's just fucking kill you. The ledge, basically, where it's slowly shrinking back into the cliff, and these kids are on it, they're about to fall off. That's scary. That's really good stuff there. There's some name drop drives, like a literal ride about a free falling elevator. It just fall to your death. A lot of falling rides so far. There's the Mummy ride, which is like, that's pretty cool. You can suffocate in that one. And there's some other rides that are just really cool. I really liked a lot of the rides here. And I think they were way scarier and more tense in the first book. And there's just some nice moments with them overall, and just moments throughout the entire book. I didn't even mention the Vulture Beach. I'm high. That was the best ride here. Very, very tense. I mean, you're being eaten alive by vultures in that ride. I mean, hell. Shit, man. That's way worse than being in a coffin with a spider or two. You know? Yeah, that is horrible. But yeah, I loved it. This is Series 2000. I think it's living up to that name. Because the scares were amped up for sure here. It was a lot more enjoyable thanks to that than the first book in some regards, not overall, just I enjoyed those rides more than the rides in the first book, though I still really liked the rides in the first book overall. These were just slightly better, if not a decent chunk better. Yeah, I liked that. I think this book was overall a nice roller coaster of a ride, just like the first book, blasting between rides and scenes and moments, up to the big reveal at the end with... well, towards the end with the Stranges and the actual climax where they eventually get saved and then twist ending. Not even twist, just an add-on, I guess. And yeah, very nice book overall. And I don't have much more to say past that. I think this book's really good, really fun, and genuinely a decent time worth checking out. But there's some issues. Sequel syndrome. Now, I'm going to be very broad, because this whole book has it, but let's just main points. No pinching. How the fuck did y'all forget that? Yeah, the main characters are really stupid, and they completely forgot just about everything that happened from the first story. And most prominently, pinching. If you pinch whores, they fucking die. That was not an episode exclusive thing. I don't even think it was in the episode. Now think about it, no. These fuckers die when you pinch them. They completely forgot. And I don't know if that's just Stine's bad, or something, but either way, they ain't pinching whores, and it's so dumb, because that kills them. I mean, sure, don't pinch them right away, but in the climax, they had so many options to pinch the whores and get out of pretty rough scenarios, but, like, they didn't. They just fucking didn't. I mean, fuck me. And I think it would have been cool if they actually brought that back, because there's a whole thing with Derek Strange, where he may or may not be a whore. He isn't, but it seems like he was in the earlier parts of the story, and maybe they could have pinched him in a scene, and it would have turned out he wasn't a whore. That would have been a nice little thing to have there. That would have been really cool, and I would have liked that. But no, pinching is nowhere to be found. And moving on from that, aside from them forgetting literally everything, they went back to HorrorLand. That in itself is an issue. You could make it work in some world. I think there's a way you can do it. Huge spoiler, but there actually is an alternative. Lizzie Morris, Luke Morris, not Clay, they do return. Those two siblings return in another book or two. I'm not saying which one, but you can get an idea. Maybe it has to do with HorrorLand. That did it way better here. So it is fucking doable. I think that one worked much better. Even if it didn't make too much sense involving parents, but still, way better than this. These guys came back because of a fucking paycheck and exposing HorrorLand, which is like, fine, but the parents agreed very willingly for like 10 grand. I mean, combined paychecks. And it's like, are they even getting that? And it's for their kids. But either way, it's like, brah, really? You're fucking going back there after what happened? You nearly died. And whilst I guess they might have thought about pinching, where is it? That's the whole thing. They know their weakness. I would have been like, okay, yeah, we can just pinch them. Watch them be wearing armor. But it's still like, really? Yeah, it's just not done well at all, them returning. And the whole sequel syndrome thing, them being like they've never been there before. Going on rides, like, I hope nothing bad happens. Bad shit happens on every single ride. Yeah, so sequel syndrome is through the roof here. It is absolutely one of the worst, if not the worst case of sequel syndrome in any Goosebumps story ever. Yeah. If anything, it should have been more like Return to the Carnival of Horrors, where it's like they were kind of forced to go there. They didn't realize it. Yeah, it was kind of like, oh shit, I guess we're back here now. That book did it way better. But yeah, moving on from the sequel syndrome nonsense, I was already rambling about it. Let's get these two other things out of the way real quickly, because that was a lot of shit just there. This book isn't bad, just clarifying. The repetitiveness in the end of the book. Now, there's a lot of rides, and I mean a lot. There's a good, 7, I think. And it kind of gets old. It's clearly trying to reach a very certain page number. Exactly 120. Yeah, this book is exactly 120 pages on the dot, which is about the mean average for, or at least the mean minimum for a Goosebumps book per usual. At least when it comes to the 90s stories. I'm not sure about late series 2K, because a lot of those have been 110 pages. I mean, fuck. Horse with Black Ring was 107. That was a short-ass book. I believe it was actually the shortest genuine Goosebumps story ever, including, presents and movie books. But yeah, this book gets quite repetitive towards the end, but it doesn't bother me too much. However, this one thing does bother me, and that is the ending. Now, I like a lot of stuff leading up to it. These guys get saved, and then they're brought to Scary Village or Terror Town or something. I'm not sure what it was called. Yeah. Basically just a rip-off HorrorLand. Really, it's just a shit poop ending. And it didn't work at all. Yeah, let's move on to my rating. I can forgive the repetitiveness of the end of the book, but I can't forgive the other things. So, for alone, the sequel syndrome, getting 2 points, and then for 0.5 for the ending. So 7.5 out of 10. This book is not perfect by any means, but I still had a good time with it, and I genuinely recommend checking it out. You might even love it more than the first book if you can get past the Derek, Margot Strange, invoking horrible plot amnesia bullshit. And yeah, it's genuinely a great time, though overall the book's just pretty good. If not relatively, of light, very good. It's almost very good. Hope you guys enjoyed this book review, and tell me what you think of Return to HorrorLand down below if you have read it. And tell me what you think about HorrorLand as a franchise as a whole, and if you've played the 90s Escape from Horrorland game. I've never played it, but I hope to one day. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.